What's up, guys? This is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing a comparison of two of the best pistols in history. We're going to be comparing the 1911 to the Sig P210. Before we do that, I want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. You guys keep the channel moving, and because of that, we do cool stuff on the Patreon page. If you want to go over there and check out the Patreon page, all you have to do is go in the description below, click the link, and sign up. You get exclusive content to message me whenever you want for gun questions. I try to get to all my Patreon messages, and I usually bounce ideas off you guys as far as top 5 videos and things like that go. So if you want to be involved in the channel, that is the best way to do it. I also want to mention a local shelter that is also in the description. If you click that link, you can donate to those kids over there in Ames, Iowa. They could really use your support. Now back to the comparison. We're going to do this kind of off the cuff because I know a lot about both of these firearms, and I'm a big fan of both of these firearms. Right up front, they're two of my favorite firearms I've ever owned. I'm very happy that I've had each one of them. That said, they're very similar, but there are some differences and there are some pros and cons to each. So I figured we'd just go through them for you. Since they're so similar, and since I've had some questions on which one of these two pistols a few people have been wanting to get and what are the differences, so here we go. This is a Wilson Combat 1911. It has a 10-round 9mm magazine. Most 1911s are in 45, and they hold a capacity of around 8 rounds or so, although 10-round magazines are available. The 10-round magazines are usually standard with the 9mm versions, which is why I like the 9mm version. And of course, the 1911 is a single action design with a manual safety and a single action trigger, which is very, very nice. The 1911 also has a grip safety, removable grips, and it is a Browning action design, so it's a tilted design made by John Moses Browning. The Sig P210 series is very, very similar. It has an 8-round 9mm mag. As far as I'm aware, they're only available in 9mm. This is actually the standard version, which is a new release, sort of, from Sig in the past few years. As you can guess, the 1911 was made in 1911, whereas the Sig P210 series was made in the 1940s, and this was originally a Swedish military pistol, pretty much hailed as the highest quality service pistol ever fielded. So it was very expensive at the time, but also extremely accurate. It also has removable grips, 25 lines per inch checkering, and it has a great single action trigger with a manual safety. I'm not sure if the original ones do, but the ones that you're going to be able to purchase now all have a manual safety and an extended slide release. So as you can see, very, very similar. Almost completely the exact same in action, except for the fact that the 1911 has a grip safety. So now we'll go through a few categories, and we'll try to kind of pick and choose and see which one of these guns, in my opinion, does it better. First, we're going to go through reliability. And this one is going to be kind of a weird conversation considering how unbelievably popular the 1911 is and how many different styles and companies you can get and make the 1911. So this Wilson Combat 1911 here is extremely reliable, and I mean extremely reliable. This puts to bed all of the myths about 1911 reliability. If you lube it once every 500 rounds or so, clean it once every 1,000 rounds or so, you're going to have zero problems with all types of ammunition, at least from my personal experience. Now that's the 5-inch government model or the 4.25 commander model. If you get any lower than that, you're going to have some problems with 1911s regardless of who makes it. So overall, I think that high-end 1911s like the Ed Brown's Wilson Combat, anything that's on par with the price of the Sig Sauer P210 is going to have as good or better reliability than the P210. The P210 comes to market around $1,200 to $1,500, depending on if you get the standard version like this one here, or you get the Target version, which has the target sights and the longer grip, which I do recommend you get that version actually. But that version is going to come in around $1,500. For the money, for an average $1,500 1911, it's going to be more reliable, just in my personal opinion. We did have a couple of bobbles with the P210, and it is a little bit ammo sensitive. However, it hasn't had enough time compared to the 1911 at least, and as many iterations to get the reliability correct. So I think the 1911 has an advantage in just how unbelievably popular it is. Now, if you go even to a Rock Island Armory, something that would be 1/3 the price of a Sig Sauer, you're probably still going to get similar reliability to the Sig P210. So as far as reliability goes, in almost every instance, I'm going to have to err on the side of the 1911, but it is extremely close. The P210 is also very reliable. Now we'll get to the category I think a lot of you are interested in, because that's what these pistols are designed for: accuracy. Both of these guns, I would say, are in the top 5 most accurate pistols. That's why I put them in my list. The P210 has been known since it was a service pistol to be extremely accurate. Reason why that is because of quality machining, tight tolerances, a great barrel, a phenomenal trigger, and pretty good target sights on the Target model. Overall, I would say it is an excellent, unbelievably accurate pistol. However, the 1911, in my personal opinion, beats it by a little bit. And the reason why that is simply because of the ability to customize the 1911 to you, right? So I think out of the box, the average 1911 and the average P210 are probably the same accuracy. However, you can adjust the length of trigger on the 1911 to fit your finger just perfect. You can adjust the poundage. You can switch sights out at your leisure. You can add a red dot mount, which will significantly increase the accuracy of the Wilson Combat. You can even get them milled so you can have an optic system on the 1911, and you can take it off and just use iron sights if you want, and then put a red dot on when you want. It's a whole lot more customizable overall, and I think that makes it, on average, a little bit more accurate for the average person. Also, I believe the grip's a little longer for guys like me with a little bit larger hands. I can just get a better grip on it, and it just seems like it's a little bit easier to shoot for me overall. But you have to remember, I'm a little bit biased because the 1911 is my favorite gun. So you'll have to take a lot of the things I say with a grain of salt here. Another reason why I believe it's more accurate is because of the barrel selection that you can get on 1911s. This 1911, this Wilson Combat here, I know it's kind of hard to compare the two, but this just happens to be the full-size government 1911 that I have right now, and probably the one I'll always have. This is my favorite gun, so I'm not going to sell it, but they are available with matched barrels. Even guns that are the same price as the P210, like a Dan Wesson, for example, is going to come with a matched barrel that's guaranteed 1 to 2 MOA at 25 or even 50 yards. This gun is guaranteed at 2 inches at 50 yards from a bench rest. That's unbelievable. It's simply quality barrels that you're just not going to be able to get with the P210 series. The triggers are going to be a little bit better with the 1911 as well, especially considering there's so many custom shops that you could get a custom trigger done for a 1911. It's just going to be a hair better than the P210 in my personal experience. Aside from accuracy, we're going to get into ergonomics. In ergonomics, I think they're about the same, with maybe even a slight edge in some areas to the P210. So I like the 1911 design a great deal. It feels great in my hand. However, so does the P210. It is an amazingly ergonomic design with a couple of flaws, only because it's not quite as popular as the 1911. I think some of the advantages to the P210 are going to be that lower bore axis. Man, do I like that. And when's the last time you said a Sig had a lower bore axis than anything? So it's pretty impressive how low the P210 sits, and because of that, the recoil impulse is so fast. It's got a very small slide because it's got internal slide rails, just like the CZ, and because of that, it has a recoil impulse similar to the CZ, which is very quick, and it brings the gun back on target very fast. So repeat shots are very quick with the P210 because of its lower design. And honestly, the safety on the P210 is extremely well done also. The 1911, don't get me wrong, is probably the world's best safety. However, the P210, I would say, is just as good. All the controls and the mag release and the slide release on the P210 are all extremely easy to get to. The downside of the P210 compared to the 1911 as far as ergonomics and features really is just the popularity of the gun overall. The 1911 is so unbelievably popular that you can customize it to whatever you want. So 10 round 9mm magazines are available. If you were to compare the original 1911 with the standard 7 round 45 mags, this capacity doesn't look so bad. However, when you notice that the 1911 can beat it by about 20% as far as capacity goes, you're going to have to give the edge of capacity, features, accuracy, and reliability all to the 1911. As far as price goes, I would again probably lean toward the 1911. I know this is going to sound a little biased here, but hear me out. There's quality 1911s that are available that are as good as the P210 for less. And there's quality 1911s that are better than the P210 that are available for the same price or more. So overall, for your money, I think you're going to be way better off with the 1911, especially considering when you're talking about price of accessories and price of magazines and availability of magazines. So if you want to get some quality mags for a 1911, they're relatively easy to find. You can get these Cobra mags, you can get these Wilson Combat mags, you can get Chip McCormick mags, you can get whatever mags you want. If you want P210 mags, you got to go with Sig P210 mags, and good luck finding them. Overall, I was a little disappointed just by the aftermarket of the P210. I think if the P210 was remade today in a double stack version with the ability to accept 1911 sights, let's say, I think it would be a huge hit. And I'm kind of amazed at the fact that Sig hasn't taken advantage of this phenomenal gun that they've literally had laying around for years that they kind of half-ass pump back out whenever they need it. And I really wish they would do a revamp of this gun, use the entire mechanism, come out with a grip that's a little bit longer, a double stack magazine, and takes 1911 sights, and you would really, really have something on your hands here to even surpass or at least compete with the 2011 series that we have today, which is the predecessor to the 1911. So overall, I think they're extremely cool guns. I think that if you were shooting them side by side, you probably wouldn't notice a difference. They're so close. All of these are very small, minute criticisms of the P210 versus the 1911. In all fairness, the trigger is very similar. The sights, if you got the target model, work very well, and overall, I think you're going to be very happy with the P210 if you choose to go that route. However, I think you're just going to be a hair more happy if you go with the 1911. And if you go with the 1911, Eagles will sing when you buy it, so that's something as well. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later.
100-year-old gun, she sure sings.